All right, today we're going to break down something that's super simple, but honestly, it's a game changer for dog training. It's called the 3Ds, and it's the key to building a really confident and reliable dog, because it's all about how your dog's brain actually works. So let's dive in.
Okay, let's just start with a situation I know you've been in. You've been practicing a stay or a down in your living room, and your dog is an absolute superstar, right? But the second you take that skill to the park, it's like their brain just deleted the file. Why on earth does that happen?
Well, the thing is, it all comes down to our expectations. We just assume that if a dog gets it right in the super quiet living room, they should be able to do it in a crazy, chaotic park. But that's just not how learning works. Not for dogs, and not even for us.
You know, a great way to think about this is like go into the gym. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't walk into a gym on day one and try to bench press your absolute max, right? Or run a full marathon. That's insane. But we do the training equivalent of that to our dogs all the time.
So if that's the problem, what's the fix? How do we get out of this trap? Well, it's this really, really simple framework called the 3Ds. These are the basic building blocks for teaching any behavior in a way your dog can actually get right. And here they are. It's just this: duration, distraction, and distance. Looks simple, right? So let's dive into what each one means. And this is the important part: how you can use them to really set your dog up for a win.
Okay, first D, duration. This is pretty straightforward. It's just how long your dog can do something. You know, can they stay in that down for just 2 seconds or maybe 10 seconds? That's all we're talking about here. Just time.
So how do you actually build that up? You got to start small. I mean, really small. So you ask your dog to go to their mat. You count 1,000, and boom, reward. Then you build up. 1,000, 2, 1,000, reward. You're just creating a pattern of success one tiny second at a time.
And here is the absolute key for this step. The only thing you're making harder is the time. That's it. There are no squeaky toys. You're not walking away. Everything else stays super, super easy.
All right, on to the second D. And folks, this is the big one: distraction. This is basically everything else happening in the world that could possibly grab your dog's attention. Sights, sounds, smells, that squirrel across the street, you name it.
And you guessed it, just like with duration, we build it up in baby steps. You start somewhere totally boring, like a quiet room. Then maybe you turn the TV on, but with the volume way down. Or you have another person just casually walk through the room. Each step is controlled.
And that big, important rule, it absolutely applies here too. The second you make the environment harder, you have to make everything else way easier. So we're back to a 1-second stay, and you're right there next to your dog, making it super simple for them.
And that brings us to our third and final D: distance. This one's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just how far away you can get from your dog while they keep doing the thing you asked.
And the way you build it up, it's all about these tiny little wins. So you ask them to go to their mat, you take one tiny step back, and then you immediately step right back in and give them that reward. You're teaching them that great things happen when they hold their position, even when you move.
And look, I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but this is honestly the most important part of this whole thing. When you're adding distance, that is the only thing that gets harder. We're not asking for a long stay, and we're definitely not doing it next to a playground. We keep it simple.
Okay, so we've broken down each of the 3Ds, right? Duration, distraction, and distance. You get it. Now it's time for the one single rule that ties this all together. Honestly, this is the secret sauce.
Here it is. Simple, but so powerful. Just let it soak in for a second. Do not train all 3Ds at the same time. This is the #1 trap people fall into. It's exactly why that perfect stay from your living room completely vanishes at the park.
And this chart here, it shows you exactly what this looks like in the real world. It's all a balancing act, like a seesaw. So if you decide to work in a place with high distraction, like your front yard, you have to make the other 2Ds super easy. A super short duration, and you stay right next to your dog. If you crank the difficulty up on 1D, you have to crank the difficulty way down on the other two. They have to balance each other out.
Okay, so your dog gets each D by itself. What now? Where do we go from here? Well, now we can start putting it all together. But the key word here, you see it, is gently.
Look, the idea is not to suddenly spring a pop quiz on your dog with everything cranked up to level 10. No, the goal is to start blending them, but at level 1.
We're still setting our dogs up to win. And this gives you a super clear picture of what I mean. On the left, that's the final exam, right? We're asking for everything all at once. Huge distance, tons of distractions, long duration. And honestly, that's just setting your dog up to fail. But on the right, that's what starting to combine them actually looks like. A little bit of distance in a pretty boring place for just a couple of seconds. That's a win.
And once you get that win, that successful start, the rule is exactly the same. You only make one thing a little bit harder. So maybe next time you add just a couple more seconds to the duration. Or you take one more tiny step back. Or you move to a slightly more interesting spot. But never, ever all three at once.
So you might be thinking, wow, this sounds like a lot of tiny, careful steps. And it is. But why does it matter so much? Because at the end of the day, this isn't really about teaching a stay or a down. It's about something way, way bigger. It's about building real confidence.
And it brings us right back to that gym analogy we started with. See, every single time your dog gets it right, every one of these little successful steps, it's like a small win. It's another rep at the gym. And yeah, it's building the skill, for sure, but what it's really building is confidence.
And I want to leave you with this idea because it really gets to the heart of everything we've talked about. When our training is this clear, when we use a system like the 3Ds, we're taking away all the confusion for our dogs. We're taking away the anxiety of not knowing if they're going to get it right. And a dog who knows what you're asking and knows they can succeed, that is a confident dog. And you know what? Confident dogs are the ones who make great choices, even when life gets a little nuts.